Hi friends, do you know, the use of artificial intelligence, AI, is growing rapidly. This emerging technology requires a significant amount of electricity. Data centers also continuously use water to stay cool. According to information provided by the United Nations, half of the world's population is already struggling with water scarcity. With climate change and rising water demand, this crisis is likely to deepen further in the coming years. In this context, it's natural to ask, could the existing water shortage worsen due to the increasing use of AI? Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, states that generating an answer to a question asked on ChatGPT requires roughly 1/15 of a teaspoon of water. However, a study conducted in California and Texas found that generating answers to 10 to 50 questions using the GPT-3 model consumes nearly half a liter of water. That means each answer uses about 2 to 10 teaspoons of water. This estimate of water usage depends on various factors such as the type of question asked, the length of the response, where it is processed, and the complexity of the calculations involved. The 500 milliliter estimate in the American study also includes the water used in electricity generation. This water includes the amount used to generate steam in coal, gas, or nuclear power plants for running turbines. Sam Altman's figures likely do not account for this. When BBC questioned OpenAI about it, the company did not disclose how they calculate these estimates. OpenAI claims that ChatGPT answers 1 billion questions daily, and ChatGPT is not the only AI bot in existence. The American study estimates that by 2027, the AI industry could consume 4 to 6 times more water annually than an entire country like Denmark. Professor Xiaolei Ren from the University of California, Riverside, a co-author of the study, says, "The more we use AI, the more water will be consumed. Every activity we perform online, whether sending emails, watching videos, or creating deepfakes, is processed by servers in massive data centers. Some of these data centers are the size of several football fields. When electricity continuously flows through these servers, they become extremely hot. Keeping them cool requires large quantities of clean, fresh water. Various cooling methods exist, but in some systems up to 80% of the used water evaporates. AI tasks, like generating images, videos, or complex content, require significantly more computing power compared to routine online tasks like shopping or searching. It's difficult to get exact figures comparing these two, but the International Energy Agency, IEA, estimates that a single ChatGPT query consumes nearly 10 times more electricity than a Google search. And when more electricity is needed, more heat is generated, thus, even more water is needed to cool the servers." Big AI companies don't disclose exactly how much water is used for AI-related operations, but available data indicates that water consumption for AI is steadily increasing. Google, Meta, and Microsoft, major investors and stakeholders in OpenAI, have seen sharp rises in their water usage since 2020, according to their environmental reports. During this period, Google's water consumption has nearly doubled. Amazon Web Services, AWS, has not provided any figures. With the growing demand for AI, the IEA estimates that by 2030, water consumption by data centers could nearly double. This estimate also includes water used in electricity generation and in manufacturing computer chips. Google reported that its data centers drew 37 billion liters of water in 2024. Out of that, 29 billion liters were used, mostly evaporated in cooling processes. Is this a high usage? The answer depends on what it's compared with. According to the United Nations, this amount of water could meet the drinking and other daily needs, at 50 liters per day, of 1.6 million people for a year. Or, according to Google, it could irrigate 51 golf courses in the southwestern US for a year. In recent years, resistance to data centers has grown in drought-affected areas around the world, including Europe, Latin America, and Arizona in the US. In Spain, environmental activists have formed a group called "Your Cloud is Drying Up My River," which opposes the growing number of data centers. Due to opposition in drought-hit countries like Chile and Uruguay, Google has either halted or modified its plans for building new data centers. According to NTT data, there are over 150 data centers worldwide. CEO Abhijit Dubey notes that there is increasing interest in building data centers in hot, dry regions. He explains that these areas are attractive because of land availability, electricity infrastructure, access to renewable sources like solar and wind, and easier regulations. Experts also say that high humidity leads to corrosion and higher energy requirements for cooling, so dry regions are often preferred for data center construction. Google, Microsoft, and Meta acknowledge in their latest environmental reports that they source water from drought-prone areas. Google says 14% of its water comes from areas with the highest water stress, and another 14% from regions with medium water stress. Microsoft reports that 46% of its water comes from water-stressed areas. Meta says 26% of its water is sourced from areas with high or extremely high water stress. AWS has not disclosed any figures. Professor Wren suggests that dry or air-based cooling systems could be used instead. However, this would increase electricity usage in place of water. Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon say they are developing closed-loop systems in which water or other liquids continuously circulate and do not need frequent replacement. Abhijit Dubey notes that such systems will be increasingly necessary in drought-prone regions in the future, though the industry is still in an early phase of adopting them. Some countries like Germany, Finland, and Denmark are developing systems to reuse heat generated by data centers to warm nearby homes. Experts say companies typically prefer using clean, potable water because it minimizes the risk of bacterial growth and corrosion. However, some companies are now trying to use seawater or recycled wastewater, not fit for drinking, in their cooling systems. AI is already being used to detect methane leaks, a dangerous greenhouse gas, or reroute transportation to save fuel, thereby reducing environmental impact. Thomas Davin, director of UNICEF's Office of Innovation, says that AI has the potential to bring significant changes in areas like education, health, and even climate change for children around the world. However, he also adds that rather than a race to build the most powerful model, he'd rather see companies compete on efficiency and transparency. He suggests companies should open source their models, make them accessible to everyone so they can be reused or modified based on need. Thomas Davin says that if companies made their models publicly available, the need to train massive new models would reduce. Training refers to feeding vast amounts of data into systems and generating outputs based on that, a process that consumes enormous energy and water. Lorena Jean Palassi, an independent researcher who advises various European governments, the EU and UN agencies, runs the Ethical Tech Society network. She says, AI is expanding so rapidly that making it environmentally sustainable is nearly impossible. She adds, we can make it more efficient, but as we do, its usage also increases. She continues, in the future, to stay competitive in this race to build bigger and faster AI systems, we may not have enough raw materials. Google, Microsoft, AWS, and Meta say they select cooling technologies based on local conditions at each site. All these companies have set a goal to become water positive by 2030, meaning they will aim to return more water than they consume on average. To do this, they are implementing water conservation and replenishment projects in areas where their data centers are located. These include creating forests or wetlands, detecting pipeline leaks, or adopting better irrigation techniques. AWS says it has already achieved 41% of this goal. Microsoft says it is on the right track. Data released by Google and Meta indicates that progress in water replenishment is accelerating. However, UNICEF's Thomas Davin says there is still a long way to go to fully meet the goal. OpenAI states that it is making rigorous efforts to save both water and energy and emphasizes the importance of using computing power judiciously. Thank you for watching.